Welcome to Have You Read It, the channel where we bring books to life one summary at a time. Whether you're here for self-help, personal growth, or business inspiration, there's something for everyone. Today, we're exploring Greg McKeown's Essentialism, the Disciplined Pursuit of Less. This book isn't about getting more done in less time. It's a systematic discipline for discerning what is absolutely essential, then eliminating everything that isn't, so we can make the highest possible contribution toward the things that really matter. In our whirlwind modern lives, it's easy to get caught up in the non-essential. We're bombarded with choices, social pressures, and the pervasive myth that we can have it all. This leads to burnout, feeling overworked and underutilized, and a nagging sense that we're always in motion but never getting anywhere. McKeown argues that we've forgotten our inherent power of choice. We say yes by default, reacting to the urgent rather than prioritizing the important. This book aims to help us reclaim that power and live by design, not by default. McKeown introduces the story of Sam Elliott, a Silicon Valley executive stretched thin after his company's acquisition. Overwhelmed by requests and meetings, his work suffered. A mentor's advice, stay but act like a consultant, led Sam to a powerful realization: do only what is essential. By selectively evaluating requests against the criteria of, is this the very most important thing right now? Sam reclaimed his focus, improved his work quality, and even boosted his performance. This story sets the stage for the core value proposition of essentialism. Only by stopping trying to do it all can we make our highest contribution. Essentialism is defined by the principle of less but better, a phrase coined by Dieter Rams, the renowned Braun designer. It's a relentless pursuit of less, not for its own sake, but to create space for what truly matters. It's about making the wisest investment of our time and energy to operate at our highest point of contribution. McKeown shares a personal anecdote of attending a client meeting while his wife was in the hospital after giving birth. He realized the futility of trying to please everyone at the expense of what truly matters. This experience solidified his commitment to understanding why intelligent people make such choices and how to tap into our full potential. The book explores why non-essentialism is so prevalent. The explosion of choices, increased social pressure due to our hyperconnectedness, and the myth of having it all create a perfect storm. We suffer from decision fatigue, and when we don't prioritize our lives, someone else will. McKeown uses the analogy of a cluttered closet to illustrate how our lives become filled with commitments and activities we've mindlessly agreed to. The essentialist approach, he argues, is to explore and evaluate options rigorously, asking, will this activity make the highest possible contribution toward my goal? Eliminate the non-essentials, even good opportunities, and execute effectively by creating a system that makes doing the essential effortless. Essentialism rests on three core realities. We have the power of choice. Almost everything is noise, and only a few things are exceptionally valuable. And we can't have it all, requiring us to embrace trade-offs. These realities lead to the essentialist truths. I choose to. Only a few things really matter, and I can do anything but not everything. McKeown recounts quitting law school because he realized he had unconsciously chosen it by default. This highlights the crucial difference between options and our ability to choose. We learn helplessness when we believe our efforts don't matter. This can manifest as either giving up or becoming hyperactive, trying to do everything. Essentialism is about reclaiming our power to choose. The 80-20 rule, or Pareto principle, states that 20% of our efforts produce 80% of our results. McKeown extends this, citing examples like Warren Buffett's investment strategy and Ferran Adria's restaurant, El Bulli, which, despite millions of reservation requests, served only 50 people a night, demonstrating less but better. The book emphasizes the importance of trade-offs. Using Southwest Airlines' success under Herb Kelleher as an example, McKeown demonstrates how deliberate trade-offs, like offering only point-to-point flights and no meals, led to greater profitability. In contrast, Continental Airlines' attempt to straddle strategies by imitating Southwest without fully committing proved disastrous. We must ask, which problem do I want? Not, how can I do both? He illustrates this with personal examples, like the couple who chose not to join clubs to prioritize family time. The book presents 5 practices for exploring what is essential: escape, look, play, sleep, and select. These are not distractions, but vital for discerning the trivial from the essential. McKeown argues for the importance of creating space to escape and explore. He describes the "do not call Monday" practice at Frank O'Brien's company, where employees disconnect to think and talk. He mentions the D School at Stanford and their booth noir, a distraction-free space designed for focused thinking. He emphasizes that focus is not fixating, but constantly adjusting and adapting. He discusses his own monk mode while writing, and cites examples of Bill Gates's Think Week and Jeff Weiner's daily unscheduled blocks for thinking and recharging. McKeown relates how journalist Nora Ephron learned the importance of finding the lead in a story, discerning the point and what truly matters, from her high school journalism teacher. This skill translates to life, connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture, and focusing on essential issues. He cites the Eastern Airlines Flight 401 crash, where a focus on a minor detail caused the pilots to overlook the critical issue of altitude. The best journalists filter for the fascinating, listening for what others don't hear. Essentialists observe and listen keenly, reading between the lines and discerning what's not explicitly stated. To hone this skill, McKeown suggests keeping a journal to identify patterns and trends, getting out into the field to experience situations firsthand, looking for abnormal details, clarifying the question at hand, and filtering for essential information. Play is often dismissed as trivial, especially in the workplace, yet it's essential for exploration and creativity. McKeown defines play as anything done for the pure joy of doing it. He argues that play expands our minds, reduces stress, and strengthens executive brain function. Citing Stuart Brown's research, he highlights play's crucial role in cognitive development and adaptability, referencing companies like Twitter, IDEO, Google, and Pixar that incorporate playfulness into their culture. McKeown shares the story of Jeff, a high-achieving executive who suffered severe health problems due to chronic sleep deprivation. Jeff's relentless pursuit of achievement nearly cost him everything. This story underscores the importance of protecting the asset, ourselves. We damage our ability to contribute when we neglect our minds, bodies, and spirits. The book challenges the myth that less sleep equals more productivity. Citing research from K. Anders Ericsson's study of violinists, McKeown reveals that top performers prioritize sleep. He likens sleep deficit to alcohol impairment, highlighting how it diminishes cognitive function. He discusses the restorative power of sleep for creativity and problem-solving, citing a study from Lübeck University. McKeown also notes the shifting perception of sleep, with leaders like Jeff Bezos and Mark Andreessen emphasizing its importance. McKeown introduces Derek Sivers's hell yeah or no approach to decision-making. Only commit to things that elicit total conviction. He applies this to choosing class participants and describes the 90% rule. If an option scores less than 90% on the most important criterion, it's a no. He emphasizes using explicit criteria, unlike non-essentialists who use broad, implicit criteria, and highlights how explicit criteria empower even junior team members to push back. The chapter illustrates selective criteria with Mark Adams of Vitso, a furniture company offering only one product, the 606 Universal Shelving System. Vitso's rigorous hiring process, including a trial workday and team feedback, exemplifies their commitment to finding the perfect fit. Aaron Levy, CEO of Box, uses a similar criterion. Would I want to work with this person every day? The chapter also discusses applying selective criteria to unexpected opportunities and provides a framework for evaluating them. Write down the opportunity. List 3 minimum criteria and list 3 ideal criteria. If the opportunity fails any minimum or 2 ideal criteria, it's a no. McKeown emphasizes the importance of a clear essential intent, a concrete, inspiring statement of purpose that guides decisions. He contrasts this with vague vision statements, generic values, and short-term objectives. Martha Lane Fox's intent as the UK's digital champion, to get everyone in the UK online by the end of 2012, demonstrates clarity. He advises to stop wordsmithing and start deciding, focusing on the question, if we could be truly excellent at only one thing, what would it be? And asking, how will we know when we're done? McKeown highlights the importance of having the courage to say no, citing Rosa Parks's refusal to give up her seat. He emphasizes separating the decision from the relationship, focusing on the trade-off, recognizing that everyone is selling something, and accepting that saying no trades popularity for respect. He cites Peter Drucker's graceful no to an interview request as an example. The book discusses the challenge of uncommitting from projects, even when we've invested significant time and resources. It uses the Concorde jet as an example of sunk cost bias, where we continue investing in losing propositions due to prior investment. McKeown suggests asking, if I weren't already invested, how much would I invest now? Other commitment traps include the endowment effect and the fear of waste. McKeown suggests pretending you don't own something to assess its true value and embracing the idea that admitting failure allows for success. He advises seeking neutral opinions, applying zero-based budgeting, avoiding casual commitments, and running reverse pilots. McKeown draws parallels between film editing and editing our lives. He notes how Best Picture nominees are almost always nominated for film editing, highlighting how editing, or eliminating the non-essential, clarifies the essential. He cites Jack Dorsey's view of the CEO as a chief editor, choosing the vital few from the many. Editing, McKeown argues, isn't just cutting but adding life and focus. He suggests 4 principles for editing our lives. Cut out options to make decisions clearer. Condense by saying more with less. Correct by aligning actions with our core purpose. And edit less by exercising restraint, like refraining from immediately replying to every email. McKeown shares the story of Jin Young, who said no to her manager's request for extra work before her wedding, prompting the rest of the team to do the same. This act of setting boundaries led to positive change within the team. He contrasts non-essentialists, who see boundaries as constraints, with essentialists, who see them as empowering. He recounts Clayton Christensen's refusal to work on weekends, prioritizing family time. Setting boundaries involves recognizing that other people's problems are not ours, identifying our deal breakers, and creating social contracts to clarify expectations and boundaries. The book emphasizes creating buffers for the unexpected. McKeown uses the biblical story of Joseph, who saved Egypt by storing grain during years of plenty, and a family car game to illustrate the concept. He contrasts non-essentialists, who assume best-case scenarios, with essentialists, who prepare for contingencies. McKeown suggests strategies for creating buffers. Extreme preparation, like Roald Amundson's meticulous planning for his South Pole expedition, unlike Robert Falcon Scott's hope for ideal circumstances, adding 50% to time estimates to account for the planning fallacy, and scenario planning by identifying potential risks and developing mitigation strategies. McKeown uses the business parable, The Goal, to introduce the concept of identifying and removing constraints, the slowest hiker holding back the entire system. He describes how putting the slowest hiker at the front of the line improves the pace of the entire group. This applies to work. Identify the bottleneck and improve its efficiency to boost overall productivity. He argues for removing obstacles, not just solving problems. The process for removing obstacles involves clarifying the essential intent, identifying the slowest hiker, and removing the obstacle systematically, even if it's a seemingly productive activity that's slowing down progress. McKeown describes the Richmond Police Department's Positive Tickets program, where officers reward youth for good behavior. This program, he argues, exemplifies effortless execution by focusing on small wins and celebrating progress. He cites research showing that progress is highly motivating, linking it to Hertzberg's findings on achievement and recognition. Instead of starting big and burning out, essentialists start small, build momentum, and achieve breakthroughs. To achieve small wins, McKeown suggests focusing on minimal viable progress, the smallest useful step forward, and minimal viable preparation, starting early with small investments of time. He also recommends visually rewarding progress to enhance motivation. McKeown uses Michael Phelps's pre-race routine and visualization practice as examples of how routines make execution effortless. He argues that essentialists design routines that make the essential the default, freeing up mental space for other essential activities. He explains the neuroscience behind habit formation, cue, routine, reward, and how routines strengthen neural pathways, making tasks automatic. To optimize routines, he suggests overhauling triggers by associating existing cues with essential activities, creating new triggers, tackling the most difficult task first, mixing up routines to avoid boredom, and tackling routine changes one by one. McKeown describes how rugby coach Larry Gelwicks used the question, "What's important now?" to keep his team focused on the present moment. This focus, he argues, enables peak performance by preventing distractions from past mistakes or future worries. He contrasts chronological time with opportune time, emphasizing the importance of living in the now. To be present, McKeown suggests, figure out what's most important right now. Get the future out of your head by journaling future possibilities, and prioritize the now list and work through it methodically. He also describes the pause that refreshes, a technique for transitioning from work to family life by pausing to breathe and let go of work concerns. The final chapter uses the example of Mahatma Gandhi, who reduced himself to zero, to illustrate living essentialism as a lifestyle. He simplified his life to focus on his essential mission. McKeown encourages us to live essentialism not as an occasional practice, but as a way of being. He discusses how essentialism has roots in spiritual traditions, and cites figures like the Dalai Lama, Steve Jobs, and Mother Teresa as examples. He emphasizes that being an essentialist means making different choices, saying no when others say yes, thinking when others are doing, listening when others are speaking, and building a career of meaning. McKeown reflects on the personal impact of essentialism, choosing family time over networking, writing over client work, and being present over distractions. He recounts his Stanford or bust strategy for graduate school, illustrating how clarity about what was essential guided his decisions. The book concludes by highlighting the benefits of essentialism: greater clarity, more control, and more joy in the journey. He emphasizes that focusing on the essentials is a choice that leads to a life of meaning and purpose, a life lived without regret. Thanks for watching. Have you read it? Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next book exploration.